Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to welcome you into yet another episode of the Health, Wisdom, and Wealth Show. I'm Hawkins, your host, and we're in powerful conversations for living your best life. Today, our guest is the phenomenal Connie Jones, and we're going to be on the subject of undo what's familiar and train your brain to transform your life. And some of you have heard me talk about doing this, but we're really going to break some things down today. And before we do, let me just tell you a couple of things about Connie. She's a master of breakthrough, a coach, therapist, motivational speaker, and host of the Warrior Arise podcast show. It's named after her best-selling book of the same name. And she's passionate about coaching high-achieving entrepreneurs to break free from the limiting mindsets and habits so that they can live a deeper fulfillment and soar in the next level of success. You know, I'm all about the soaring as well. She's known to charge up the inner game of change makers so that they can blow through their barriers and shatter ceilings, gain greater clarity, courage, and confidence as they sharpen their natural instincts, own their inner genius, and align with their authentic selves to break through to significant income increases and expand their impact, gain greater joy and more free time and energy for what matters most. I love Connie because she's a master at creating transformation and undoing what's familiar to get to the best that life has to offer. Connie, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here with us today.
Thanks, Velan. I am so excited to be here. I always love being with you, and it is just an honor and a privilege. So thank you. I'm excited.
Well, you're welcome. I'm
Yeah.
excited because this is one of my absolute favorite topics. And, undoing what's familiar. And a lot of us just get so caught up because I don't know how to do anything else, or this just feels so comfortable because I know it so well. However, it may also be what's getting us in trouble and what's limiting us and keeping us from being our highest and best selves. So thank you for being here. I'm so excited about this. And let's just get right into it. I always ask my guests so that we can get a better feeling around who they are and how they got to this point. So tell us a little bit more about your journey towards your focus on transformation and arising warriors.
Oh yes, it's absolutely my passion, and it comes from my story. I was a therapist for 20 years and still am a therapist, always will be. And well, I was born an intuitive, and I didn't really know what that was. I didn't know, why I felt the things I did, why I was as deep and complex as I've always been, why I always wanted to understand why, and everybody's story and what makes people do the things that they do. Well, I realized at some point along the way that that is my calling, that's my gift, and it's my sixth sense to see and know things so that I can help people break through, those barriers that keep them stuck, can help them understand themselves better. But I thought the only way 20 years ago was to be a therapist. And so that's what I started doing, not realizing at the time that my dad was a college football coach. My mom was a teacher. I'm more of a combination of a coach, teacher, counselor. And now I get to use all three to help my clients move through the barriers that do keep them, I say the struggle, striving, and surviving rather than thriving. And so I was a struggling therapist. Well, I wasn't struggling in the sense that I didn't have clients. I had tons of clients. I had more clients than I could possibly see, and I hit a limit. I hit a limit physically, mentally, emotionally. I was working dollars for hours, and was a single woman trying to make it in the world, and in the world of success. I was a high achiever, a high performer. And so all I knew was do, and do more and achieve more. And if that working harder and sacrificing more is the way to success. And so I totally bought into that until at 39 years old, I had a breakdown, physically, mentally, emotionally. I was in adrenal fatigue. I was in early menopause. I was miserable doing. It wasn't that I was miserable doing the work I was doing. I was miserable doing it the way I was doing it, and I didn't know any other way. Here I was, I did the only thing I knew, and so had to reach out and get help and figure out, my business was very successful. I was very successful in the work that I was doing, but it was serving everybody else, but it wasn't serving me. It wasn't bringing me joy. I wasn't in alignment with who I really wanted to be. And what I really wanted to be doing was help people be working with, the high achieving people, highly functioning, helping them move forward and create the dream and create and close the gap in their life, not just doing counseling. And so I didn't realize the toll that living out of alignment with myself was taking on my body and my mind and my spirit. And so all that kind of came crashing down. Thank goodness I did have a thriving business in one sense. And so I just started working with a coach and realized the that I reconnected with my heart and really and understood the true essence of who I am, and began to do some work around my purpose. And I discovered that I am a warrior for people, that I'm a warrior for people's hearts, that we all have this inner warrior in us, and that it's not the kind of warrior that we are taught by the world, that it comes from that we war from this place of that we're this fierce, hard driving, success driven, um you, you know disconnected kind of person being. That it's more from the sense of embracing who we are, and a softening and a connecting with ourselves at an intuitive, deep, heartfelt level, and tapping into that passion and understanding our purpose and living from that place. And from that place is where freedom and impact and abundance flows. And that's where we live in so much more joy and success and all of the things. And so that's the work that I've shifted into. I started doing work differently, started working with more high achieving, and specifically entrepreneurs, and helping them. Once I understood how to do it for myself, I began to help other people unlock this untapped potential in them, and this untapped passion and purpose, and help them live from that place. And it is the most incredibly rewarding work. And even now I'm making a little shift in my business, and doing it even, still always making shifts in according to, how I'm growing and aligning, but I love the work that I'm doing now. It's amazing. It's so
Oh
rewarding.
my gosh, I love it. It sounds amazing. And
Yes.
we have talked a few times and have really looked at the alignment and the synergies in our own lives. And
Oh,
I
yes.
so relate to your story. Oh my goodness, about, thinking that you're just doing what you are supposed to be doing, the way you're supposed to be doing it, and really relying on those you trusted who were informing you of this particular path, yet
Yes.
knowing that something was a little off, but you didn't
Yes.
know what. And the fact that, you recognize you were born an intuitive, and, the whole, well, why?
Yes.
That I can
Yes.
relate to that as well. Oh my gosh.
Totally. Yes.
But to get to the point where you are this passionate, so passionate about helping individuals get into that
Mhm.
untapped potential. And we know that it's a matter of connecting the heart and the head.
That's
The
it.
heart and the brain have to communicate with one another in order for that alignment to be made. And so, we talked about it. People typically do things, they say things because of what's familiar to them, right?
Mhm.
They've heard it growing up, they've heard it from peers, they've heard it from mentors. And so they're moving in this direction, even though they have this intuitive sense that something's a little off.
Yes.
But, you know, what is it? that people need to know that actually explains the value of undoing the
Mm,
familiar so
mm.
that they can do what really helps them align?
And that is a beautiful question. And I love when you say undoing. I say that a lot. It is our undoing that we're most afraid of. We're all, let me start here. There was at one point in our life, we learn based upon the messages that we receive directly and indirectly, verbally and and non-verbally, inverbally, non-verbally, that based upon the experiences that we have in our lives with everybody that we come in contact with, all the way from the time we're little until we're grown, we come to form this schema of beliefs that is something to the effect of, in order to survive and succeed, I have to blank. And so I would encourage everybody who's watching, listening, to really think about what were those things, what were the messages that you learned unconsciously, subconsciously even, that or maybe directly and consciously, that you heard over and over, in order to survive and succeed, I have to blank. And once we learn that, it programs us to believe that that is the best way that we will survive and we will be most successful in our life. That I will be, I will make it in this world, and I will achieve in this world a sense of worth and value and belonging and whatever we're looking for, love, whatever, if I show up like this, if I do this. And each of us have our own experiences, and our own messages that we receive like that. And then once we know that, that becomes our existence. And so we do survive that way. We do succeed that way. For me, one of mine was, in order to survive and succeed, I must perform. I must, do it all right. I've got to show up as an overachiever. I've got to figure it all out. I have to get it all right. And so that influenced everything I did. And so in doing that, in achieving and in getting it all right and doing it and pleasing people, that was another one, making everybody else comfortable and giving into what they need from me. I completely turned off my heart and my intuition, which are my superpowers. And I stopped living in alignment and in accordance with, congruent with who I really am and who I was created to be. I figured some of the things out. I wasn't so far off, thank goodness, because I did have parents who, did encourage me to listen to my heart and things like that. But like all the other messages went against that. And so, and I see that over and over and over. And that's actually one of the first questions I ask my clients when they come in is, answer this question for me. In order to survive and succeed, I have to what? And when they realize, oh my gosh, that has been driving me to create this persona that may or may not be who I really am. It may have made decisions for me that are not in alignment with or congruent to what's most important to me or what really matters or what makes me happy. And so, like, it's like the lights come on, and it's, but we are survival. We have this strong survival mechanism. And so we want to be comfortable. We don't want to live in threat. We want to live in what's comfortable and familiar. So we do that and we learn how to survive and we get really, really good at it until something breaks down mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, or in our circumstances, something isn't working for us. And, you know, mine just happened to be in my early teens and 20s or my late teens and 20s when I broke down. And most people, a lot of people, make it all the way through till their 30s, 40s, 50s even. And I just, and I'm grateful now. At the time, I wasn't grateful. I thought I was cursed, but something was wrong with me. But like, I'm grateful now that it broke down early on, that I began to do the work and begin to understand, okay, wait, this survival mechanisms that I've learned to and the things that I have learned to succeed only get me to a certain point, but they're creating a limit in my life. They're creating a ceiling for me that's not allowing me to go any further. And so it's it's comfortable, but it's hurting me at this point. It's self-sabotaging and we don't realize it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so at that point, when we do recognize, oftentimes we have to, in order to recognize it, we are moved by something breaking down in life. And then we enter that work. Hopefully, we ask for help and, we enter in doing our inner work to really understand, okay, wait a minute, why am I doing the things that I'm doing? And who am I really? And what does matter most to me? What was I created for? And what's my true essence? What are my gifts and my passions and my purpose and my what makes me come alive and what am I here for? What wakes me up and lights my fire every day? But nobody asks, well, not many, I shouldn't say nobody, but not many of us get asked those questions early on. And so we survive and succeed until the point where we at some point start to question that. And then we hopefully enter the work and start to get the transformation. And it's not that necessarily something needs to transform within us, it's that we need to come back to, or maybe discover for the first time ever, who we truly are and how to access our most powerful self that is lying dormant inside.
Oh, that was so well said. I
Yeah,
love that. And you're right. The process is actually moving through life to live, to learn, to understand, um, to break, to
right.
break more than once if we have to,
Exactly.
in
In my
order
case, yep.
to come back to where we are, like you said, our truest self.
Mhm.
And, a lot of people think that, when you talk about breakthrough, you're talking about, some circumstance or something physical, mental, spiritual, whatever it is that gets you to a point where you're broke and then you get to go through. But on the other side, you're going to see something totally different when actually on the other side, you get to see clarity.
That's right.
You get to see who you were, where you did come through, where you had been traveling, so to speak.
That's right.
And you are on the other side looking at the opportunity to forge a new path,
That's it.
right?
Yes. And it's if we and it's that resistance that stops us. We're in fear oftentimes is the biggest thing, and we all have fear. And and it is a survival mechanism, and thank God we have it. I mean, it allows us to survive. However, staying safe and comfortable in the familiar at some point is not allowing us to be our best self and thrive. And so we have to move through that resistance that's trying to keep us, it's just trying to keep us safe. That's it. But and our brain, our reptilian brain wants us to constantly think that there's a threat there. There's a threat if something bad is going to happen if you transition. But I was thinking about something the other day as I was talking to a business owner and a client, and we were talking about this very thing, helping her move through that resistance that she's feeling to, to change things, to do things the way that she really wants to do them, to create the business that she really wants to create, that nobody's ever asked her, what do I, she's never really asked herself, what do I really want? How would I do this if I just let myself have, no limitations and no past experiences taking into account and nobody else's opinion and no messages that are, clouding my intuition and what burns in me. And so we were talking through that, and I said, it's interesting how, how easy it is if we get tired of working out at a certain place and the workouts are no longer doing it for us, or if we're tired of the whoever we're going to get our hair done, by, and we want to change, we make that change so easily and so quickly. But when money's involved, when our livelihood is involved, our whole identity and our worth is involved, or it feels like it is, we have such a resistance to change because, and I'm not saying everybody needs a change, but like I really want to challenge, you guys to think about, like, why am I doing the things that I'm doing? Why am I showing up the way that I am? And why am I spending my time and my energy the way that I am? And my resources, if I could really create what I wanted to, the way that I wanted to create it, what would that be? Because staying in the familiar is not working. But it's interesting, when we put so much of our value and our worth, and we have such fear around money and scarcity, we we stay in the what has worked to a certain degree because we're afraid of the unknown. And I'm going to say one more thing, and then I'll let you have a word in edgewise here. I get so passionate about this, you can tell.
Go for it.
So I was reading a story the other day about I just actually shared this on my Facebook Live on a little video the other day. An impala, the like the gazelle, like an animal. So the impala can jump something like 10 feet high and 33 feet in depth. That is an incredible creature. I mean, like, just think about that. But the the zoos around the country and internationally, I'm sure, keep these impalas confined in in 4-foot high fences. And the reason, and that doesn't even make any sense. Well, if they can jump 33 feet across and 10 feet high, what in the world is a 4-foot fence? How in the world is a 4-foot fence keeping an impala contained?
Yeah.
Well, the impala has a survival mechanism that they don't know, when they can't see where they're jumping to, what's on the other side of what they're jumping over, they will not jump. And isn't that just like us?
Yeah.
It's that familiar. And so here they are living in a prison, that they could easily get out of, and they don't think that they have the option because of their survival mechanism. And it just gives me chills. That's what we do every day. We limit ourselves, and we have no idea what are all of our possibilities and all the potential for us. And we never open to it because we stay in what feels comfortable and familiar, because we learn to survive that way.
You made such a really great point about our desire to stay uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But our brain it's kind of like our brain sees black and white, safe, unsafe.
Right.
And it makes its judgment calls based on those two things. And if we know anything about the brain, there's the conscious, there's the subconscious, and then there's the unconscious. And what I think most people don't really grasp is that it is the unconscious that is creating all of this conscious action.
Right.
That is the result of being self-sabotage,
Yes.
self-limitation. And even when we try and say, I can do this, we find ourselves pulling back. We find ourselves doing something totally the opposite. And so, having said that, really is about retraining your brain, right?
Yes.
Tapping into the unfamiliar that can be good for you. What is one of the ways, one of the techniques maybe that you advise your clients to help them to take more of the initiative to look at and embrace the unfamiliar?
Because and I do a ton of mindset work, but it is not just retraining the rational brain. It's not just training the conscious brain. The medicine, which you talk about a lot on your show, food is medicine. What is medicine? The medicine here, the healing salve of all of this, the thing that helps us get transformation is bringing the unconscious into the conscious and retraining the conscious and the subconscious, becoming conscious of the unconscious. And in order to do that, we have to learn to quiet our minds. We have to learn to still our bodies. We have to practice being with ourselves. And then connecting with our heart, dropping down out of our rational mind and into our heart space. And it's an embodying of a new energy, it's a lightening up, it's a coming alive, it's a connection with ourself at a whole deeper spiritual level that allows us to really understand what is the you know where what's the wisdom we need to know in order to
Mhm.
move us forward, because we're not going to our very best thinking got us right here. Our very best thinking is keeping us safe. And so if we live only in our conscious mind, then we're probably not going to do anything different. We can hear the strategies and the formulas that tell us, well, you should do this and you can do this and this, but it's not going to feel real and doable to us. We're not going to get that breakthrough unless we learn how to tap into that more spiritual, um, deeper, wise part of ourselves versus listening to this naysaying, self protective voice in our head that's saying, no, stay, do this. No, you can't do that. No, you've got it. You better do this or else, da 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 da. And inside, when we learn to connect there, and I'm not saying it's this, simple thing. People struggle with it, some, but it really is. But it's having a practice. It's creating, whether it be meditation, whether it be breath work, yoga, um, just an embodying of changing body posture and feet, and putting your hands on your heart or your belly and feeling where your life force energy is, and all of the things, there's so many different ways that I teach this depending on where someone is and what they relate to, what comes naturally to them or more natural to them or what they're open to. But we absolutely have to create these practices that are spiritual in nature, that bring the unconscious into the conscious. The other practice is, and I will say, it is important that we do know how the brain works and that we can reprogram the brain. That the brain has just, in our survival pattern of thinking, we have just myelinated our neuronal pathways. And so there's just more with, I think it's gray matter. I might be wrong there, but more gray matter and more myelin that have insulated because of that well-worn path. Over and over and over, we've gone down that pathway. And so there is that part of tapping in deeper to the unconscious and understanding what is driving you and what you're afraid of and why, and really accessing the wisdom and the power, the superpower inside of you, something bigger than you to help you get that transformation. But there's also that part of doing that discipline work of speaking affirmations and rewriting your script. That same script that has been running me for years and years and years it's not getting me where I want to be. And so at some point I'm going to have to rewrite that script. And then I'm going to have to speak that over and over and over, and not just rotely speak it, but embody it as I speak it and connect with it in a new energy as I speak it, as speak what is not as though it is. So
Mhm.
if I've always believed that I'm never going to get what I want and there's never enough, And there's always, if I choose what I want, there's always going to be some negative retribution for that. Well, that's what I will see in my life because I'm creating
Mm-hmm.
that over and over and over. If
Mm-hmm.
I want to change that, I have to rewrite that script. So that would look like I can have what I want. I am a powerful creator of my reality. And as I change internally, my circumstances change externally, and everything I need is accessible to me in abundance to be who I was created to be. And it needs to look like that kind of shift. Well, then we don't just read that off of a piece of paper every day rotely. We feel it, we breathe it in, we embody it, we open to it, we change our body posture as we say it. We speak it, and we speak it until we begin to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a lot that answered that question in like a whole lot of things. But it is first, it is the spiritual practices. It is those bringing the unconscious into the conscious, connecting to yourself, to something bigger than you, but then also retraining the brain.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh my gosh, you
so
answered that question and a couple others
I,
that
I
I
was gonna say, yeah, I probably did. Yes,
had.
but but speaking of, when I said that that's the medicine, that
Yes,
is that is the medicine,
you are
and
so right.
why do we? It's everything in life is keeping us from accessing the medicine that we have right in our bodies because we
Mm-hmm.
stay distracted, we stay um we give so much power to our emotions and our feelings and what's going on around us that we think we just have to buy into whatever we're feeling in the moment, and we don't
Those.
understand our power to choose something else, that we are powerful beings that can
Mm-hmm.
choose, that create our, that can make those powerful shifts in our
Mm-hmm.
lives.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, it is for that reason that so many people won't take that step forward
Right.
and won't decide and then do
Yes.
the work
Yes.
because we one thing that is truth is that whatever it is that you want in your life, you are going to have to do some work to get
That's
it.
right. That's it.
And we've equated work to be this hard thing, this, I don't want to work that hard and I just don't want to, we've been
Yeah.
too coddled.
It's so true.
And even where we say that this is work, this is the kind of work that gets the rewards that are so far beyond what
That's
you
it.
could think.
Yes.
It's like, why wouldn't you want to do this work? And then it's not really that hard. It's only as hard as you tell yourself,
Right.
right?
And
Right?
that's exactly right. And there's nothing harder than being stuck either. I mean, think about it, the energy of being stuck is
Going
hard.
around this same mountain over and
Yes.
over and over again. Why is this happening to me? What
Right.
am I doing wrong? Well, all of that coming into play when every time you go around or up that mountain, there is a doorway that
That's it.
all it takes is you reach. This is the work, reaching your hand out, grabbing the doorknob, turning the doorknob, and opening the door and walking through. That's the work.
That's it.
And we don't even want to do that. It's one of the reasons that I became a hypnotherapist
Yeah.
because I saw that. And I saw that it's not so much that we don't want to do the work, because even when we do, we'll say, I'll do the work. I want to do the work. I will do whatever it takes. But then we
Yes.
don't understand how it is that we still get stopped
That's
and
it.
get stuck and
Yes.
get turned back around because we
Yes.
keep hearing those voices. And one of the things that I've learned is you hear those voices and you say, thank you for
That's it.
showing up for me, for telling me or reminding me that you were there. You know what? I appreciate that. Showing up today means that you don't have to come back, because I know that what you're saying is something that it's not necessary for me to hear anymore. I know better. I want better. And I will have better. Thank you. And you can even feel it leaving.
Yes, absolutely.
If that
Yes.
is the work, and I think this is part of it, Connie, I think that people don't understand that there's degrees of work, right? It's what somebody told you about work, it's what you experienced about work, and what you don't know about work, right? What you
Right.
don't know, you don't know. So
Yes.
maybe it's like it's not available to me. But what if it were, right?
Yes, absolutely. And think about it is so much harder to struggle and strive and survive and live from that energy every day rather than from a flow place. And I know that sounds woo woo and, but I mean, and it is, but it's
But it's
real.
not.
It's
Yes,
real.
it's
I
real.
mean, we are consciously creating or we're unconsciously creating. We are
Exactly.
forcing or we're living in flow in every moment. And so it is up
Exactly.
to us to choose which one we're going to do. Do we want to take the, it's a little bit of work to understand how to do it, to move through it, to learn some things that are, that are practices and disciplines to move us to the next place where we can learn to just open up the whole world to us and live from an incredible place, where we're happier, we're healthier, we're more joyful, we're more powerful, we're more abundant, or we stay in the same old place where it always will be struggling, striving, and surviving. And and it's if someone chooses to stay there, I'm not going to, I'm not condemning them, but I'll just be honest, it is a much harder life. And there is more, and it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what you didn't learn. I didn't get taught any of this stuff, until I broke down. Um, and but it is it's like you can't once you're enlightened to it, it's like I want more and more and more because life lights up in a whole new way. And business lights up and success exponentially increases and influence expands and the whole bit. It's like putting yourself on a whole new level of power source, and living from that place.
It really is. And that's the beauty of it. It
Yeah.
really is the beauty of it. So, Connie, as we're bringing our conversation to a close, is there some wisdom that you believe it's important to share with our audience, something that you want to
Yeah.
have a positive impact on our audience as we close up today?
Yes, there's
Yes.
lots I could say there, but and I've already mentioned this one time, but I do want you to think about this. We all are consciously creating, or we're unconsciously creating. We are just mirrors. Or our environment is a mirror of what's going on inside of us. So if we don't like our circumstances, then it's up to us to change internally in order to change what's going on outside of us. And that's just truth. I didn't like that when somebody told me that. I wanted to be the victim, and I wanted it to be, God had something out for me, or I just had bad luck, or whatever. I was persecuted in some way, but it was just not the case. It was me. I was the problem, doing the very best I knew how to do with what I had. But I had to begin to do the inner work. And it is okay to not know where to start. That's the other thing. So just all I want, to simplify it, it feels like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. No, there's not. You start with what is the gap in your life right now? Or what is the gap in your business right now? Or what is the gap in any area? What is a pattern that you've seen that is not working for you that you want to change? And what do you possibly need to change inside of you, or what do you possibly just need to take a look at and get some help with changing inside of you that may be contributing that pattern that isn't working? And that's just start there and ask for help and
Mhm.
do the inner work so that and that's our job as coaches to lead you along in that, counselors who to lead you along in that. You don't have to know all the answers, you don't know have to know how it's going to change. You just have to desire the change, and when you desire and you reach out and you ask, the answers will start coming in. That is the first step.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think it's so important to reiterate just it's about taking the first step.
Yeah.
And you just have faith that what you need will show up. I mean, we've all heard when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, and the
That's right.
teacher may come in ways that you didn't expect.
That's
You
it.
know, it may come in an event, or it may come in a person, or it may come in a thought. It may come in so many different ways. And what's our responsibility, part of that work, is
Right.
to be open to seeing what's coming and
Hmm.
looking for the messages in it, right? The
Yes.
understanding, the wisdom that you spoke about. I love that.
Yes.
Ah,
Mm.
yes. Thank you, Connie. This was so great and so
Absolutely.
just informative. And, you don't really have to know the technicalities of what's all up in
No,
this brain. If you understand that there's just those three layers, and what you want to do is bring in the heart space to speak to that subconscious, unconscious, that unconscious
that's it.
that will help to transform the subconscious and the
And the
conscious,
conscious, that's it.
utilizing the conscious to help to bring all of it into alignment is the meditation and affirmations that you spoke about. So important.
So true.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for bringing
Absolutely.
that in.
Oh, as you can say, I love talking about it, and I love helping people do that work. So, just to see one more person get freedom and transformation is just it's so rewarding. So I hope that just sparked someone today to listen to that call inside that all right, it's time. It's time to just take one step to do something different.
It
Yeah.
is. And I do pray that
Yes.
everyone in our audience who is really purposed to hear this message hears it, because it is
Yeah.
about undoing what's familiar and training your brain so that you can transform your life. So thank you for joining us today. You can reach Connie by checking out what's below the video. You'll see her websites. You can reach her through that and see some of the things that she's doing. One of the things that is important to me with the show is really helping others, helping healthpreneurs get the visibility so that people can see what sources and resources are available to them, because we're about helping to heal the world, helping to heal individuals, because that's where it starts with one person. It goes to one
Mhm.
community and one country and one continent and one planet. But it is that ripple effect.
Yeah.
So thank you again, Connie. To our audience, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to hearing from you about what you loved. Tell us what your biggest takeaway was. And if there's some other topic that you would love to hear about on the show, put it in the comments below. Let us know. Our team is always looking for what's best to bring to our audience. And if you're a health, wisdom, or wealth practitioner and you'd like to share your knowledge and expertise with our audience to be in this conversation, reach out to me. PM me, message me on Facebook, LinkedIn, email me at blin@p3academy.com, and let's connect. So, okay, everyone, We've got some exciting things coming up in future episodes, so stay tuned, turn on your notifications, subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can stay on top of what it is that we're doing here. So with that said, thanks, and until next time, be well, live, love, and be a bigger positive impact in your world. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.